Hi, I'm Alan Melodies. We're here in the Gear for Music studio with Tom.
Hello.
The beautiful Tom from ASM distributor Source. Tom's here to show us the Hydrasynth.
I am indeed.
Yeah, these are the new Hydrasynths. I suppose in this video, this is basically going to be like Tom's kind of favorite. These are a few of Tom's favorite things, right?
Yeah.
About the Hydrasynth.
Yeah, I mean, ASM are a new company, and they came out, nearly 2 years ago with these wonderful module, the wonderful keyboard, and now they've got these two new hotnesses.
Yeah.
And there's still people I encounter that just don't really grasp what they are. I mean, they're absolutely monumental polysynths. And I thought it'd be good today to, show off the new toys and the cool shelf and all the nice things that they do, but also explain some of the, the nuance of these machines, because they're not really like anything else on the market, to be totally honest.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean when people haven't quite grokked the Hydrasynth.
Yeah, totally.
Like if you know, which sounds like a sort of marketing-y, salesy thing, but they are
totally true.
Legitimately amazing synthesizers, and they just sound wicked. So I suppose on a high level, what is a Hydrasynth? And then what are these two new ones?
So a Hydrasynth, in essence, and this is kind of how I've explained it to a lot of people, is a polyphonic, digital, modular wavetable synth.
Sounds, I'm down.
Exactly. I mean, that is like the sales pitch that you want to hear. And that's exactly what they are. I mean, wavetable to a point. So they have a technology called Wavescan, which we'll explain later. But effectively, all the models of Hydrasynth are the same, but they have subtle variances in that, this is a slightly smaller one. There's a module, there's a 49 note, there's this big boy as well. But at its core, they are really special exploratory polysynths.
Yeah.
They are really, really beautifully engineered. And we mentioned, if you know, this was definitely made by someone that knows their wares, because there's loads of little subtle nods to, like modular stuff like the looping LFOs, the fact that there's a low pass gate in there, just little things like sidechain compression and just the way the modulation works. It's just been crafted by someone that obviously just wanted to give all of us a little gentle fist pump and just go, you definitely, if you know how this works, you can extract a lot out of it. Yeah. And even if you are totally new to synths as a whole, this I feel is a very, very worthy starting point, because, without getting cheesy marketing on you, it does do everything.
Yeah.
It really can do, just beautiful ambient pads, as you'd expect from a big lush wavetable thing. But also the random can lead you into some happy accidents. There's just so much in these machines that really warrants explanation. And hopefully I can explain it coherently.
I suppose it's very hard. Can you demonstrate just the basic sort of core of the waveform and the wave scanning, and then we can start to twist and...
Absolutely. So what I'll do, I'll initialize a preset. It's one of my favorite features, actually. It's so cheesy, but double tap in it. Oh, so good. So I'll explain the kind of the layout and the workflow of this a little bit. So we have this contextually sensitive area of 8 knobs and an OLED. On the little boy up here, there's 4 knobs, but displays and everything and interaction is the same. So everything I explain here is relevant on this one.
Is this got the same sound engine as this?
Exactly the same. This is 2 sound engines.
Right.
So imagine if you've got 2 Hydrasynth desktops or 2 Hydrasynth keyboards or
I
whatever.
immediately think of the CS80, basically.
Exactly.
It's like the double synth.
Double synth. Mm-hmm. And, without getting too deeply into it before we explain the oscillator capabilities, this synth in particular, you can adjust the balance, you can address each layer independently, but we'll explain more on that later. So again, initialize a preset, gets you to a simple sawtooth wave. And the way the sort of display in the system and the workflow works is you've got these 8 knobs, and this is a contextually sensitive display. So when I click any of these, the knobs and the buttons and the pages all basically update to what you're looking at. And the beauty of that is this is the signal flow of the synth. So you've got your oscillators into the mutants, which I'll explain as well because they're bloody marvellous, into your mixer and so forth. So that is the signal path again, same on that. I'll explain like the wave scanning. So this isn't really, in air quotes, a traditional wavetable synth. So with a more traditional wavetable synth, you get a wavetable and it is predefined, and you'll get, a harmonic series or whatever it might be, or like a pulse width kind of thing.
A wavetable being a sort of scannable sound or set of sounds.
Yeah.
It's almost like a sort of a melodic passage that you can move through, but it's a timbral change.
Absolutely.
So, but it's not like that.
It's not like that in that you can define the timbres. So with a traditional wavetable synth, that window of timbres that you can sort of scan through are predefined by the manufacturer.
Yeah.
In this synth in particular, you can completely make your own wavetables.
You define them.
You define the wavetables. So what I've done here, I've just gone to Oscillator 1, and then you've got all these here, without getting too nerdy in how it all works. But basically, you choose wave scan. You can then edit your list of waves, and I'm about to show off another favourite feature of mine is randomisation, because I don't want to sit here going through all the different waves and show off. I just want to go, give me some random waves that I like. Great. I've just held random, not those buttons, and it's given me some stuff to work with. So now, instead of being a sawtooth, it's like, what the hell is that?
Something else.
And another little feature, little OLED reader. So cool. So now I've just made my own custom wavetable. You couldn't really do that on anything else.
Just invented dubstep.
So you can do that across Oscillator 1 and 2, which is really cool. So again, let's just turn it up to a fifth and then bring it up in the mixer. And actually, let's make it a seventh.
Is that your favourite semitone interval?
For today.
Okay.
Today is. So again, we'll make this another wave scan. We'll edit the wave list, and because I want to be handheld, I will just randomise it. But let's pretend for a moment, I think, oh God, harmonic 19, I like that. Let's say that I want to harmonically relate the rest of the wave scan. Well, what you do is you hold shift, twist that, and as you can see, all of the waveforms are now harmonically related.
It's all their brothers and sisters.
So yeah, so they are organised in timbral kind of relevancy. But again, if you don't want harmonic 19 to be,
so it's almost like there's kind of in the brain of this is like one massive long wave table that you can like pick zones of it and kind of move in a sense. But it's lots of different sounds.
Yeah. So I'll just show you that oscillator 2 that I've made, where I've put that random one in there. It just goes. But you can modulate that, you can do all kinds of stuff with that. So let's just completely randomise that because that's a bit too sine wavy for my taste.
I quite liked it. It's quite sort of ethereal.
No, let's go for squares because they're noisy. So again, so now I've got two completely custom
oscillators,
wavetable oscillators.
Yeah,
completely custom. Just to know, Oscillator 3. It does have access to all of the waveforms from 1 and 2, but you cannot wave scan it.
It's just like a fixed, you pick one.
Yeah, and what I tend to use this for is just as a sub-oscillator. Boring, but super, super useful. It's really cool when you use it as a sub with like a gnarly... If I show you that and just bring it into the mixer. Look at that.
But you can tune it. It's not like it's one octave
No,
below all the time.
it's not fixed. I mean, by default, it's an octave down, and helpful little note, you can do octave shifts.
Holding. A nice feature. Look at that.
Well, little electron nods here
exactly.
and there.
Little shortcuts for the...
And me coming from electron background, I was like, I know how this works. So what I've just basically created there is 3 custom wavetable oscillators, which is pretty gnarly in its own right. You saw me playing with a mixer. I'll just show you this before we get into the mutants because they're quite complicated little bits. Cool little things. I was talking about the subtle nods and the little fist bumps throughout this synth. Filter panning and oscillator panning is just so cool.
Yeah.
So
I mean that is just headphones required.
Headphones required.
This is like you literally can move oscillators around in the stereo field.
Yeah,
and you could automate that. So you could make them
Yeah.
pan around your head.
Yeah,
Wow.
and on this model in particular, you've got 2 stereo outs for each of the Hydra engines. So you can do, I don't know, like 8 voice quadraphonic madness, probably. I haven't really looked into it, but yeah.
Because you could pan one voice hard left and the other hard right.
And then,
yeah, bonkers.
yeah, so
Okay.
you can do a hell of a lot like that. So just in the mixer alone, there's a lot of fun to be had. And then you've got oscillator filter routing as well, so you can do like clever stuff with that. But
there's multiple filters.
Multiple
We probably
filters.
shouldn't go too crazy deep.
Yeah.
We'll be here a long time.
Yeah.
Suffice to say,
There's plenty. But again, mutants are like oscillator effects. So you have things like FM, wave stack, which is like a super saw kind of vibe, oscillator sync, pulse width modulation of any waveform, which is pretty nuts considering it's wavetable.
these all kind of animate the oscillators, basically. is what we're
Absolutely.
saying. Like sort of an extra layer.
You can do some interesting stuff. You can get the mutants to modulate each other as well. So and then you've got like a special type of pulse width modulation defined by ASM. Loads of stuff in the.
Do you want
mutants.
to try? Have you got one in particular you sort of gravitate to?
Well, I'm gonna quick initialize. Sine, where are you? Sine. I mean, you know what I'm gonna go for. So
Oh, yeah.
just FM. It's just
Right,
there.
straight up.
You know?
Yeah, nice. And it has ratios and like it is through 0 FM, as in the type of FM that you would get on like a DX signal.
Absolutely, but
Although
you can choose the.
It's not just on sine waves; it's on.
It's
like,
FM of everything.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that is a theme that carries throughout this whole synth. Is that everything is modulatable to a degree. I think, apart from the master volume, that's about
Do you
it.
want
Really.
to? What is the way that you modulate? I know the answer to this. It's kind of why I'm like this. This is actually really nice, and it's an example of like the usability. Like, you want to talk a bit about just maybe it's obvious.
Yeah, I mean,
usability-wise,
the kind of sales pitch I gave you was polyphonic digital wavetable modular sim thing. You know, it's the kind of modular style of workflow. So if I want to connect LFO3 to the oscillator, it's just like getting a cable. It's done. And then I just choose what I want to modulate and by how much.
Yeah. So you kind of push this and this, and you link 2 blocks.
Yeah.
And you just find the element, and then apply it.
Yeah, and you can. I mean, you can assign anything from anywhere to anything. There's even like MIDI CC values that you can use as mod sources. All kinds of mad stuff that you can do with this. It's worth mentioning that there are 3.5mm connections here. DC coupled inputs, so you can run audio through it as well. You can use like an external oscillator to FM something if you want to. I've tried it.
More if you've got modular stuff.
Yeah, or semi-modular. You know, if you've got like a DFAM or something and you want to run that row of velocity out as an interesting mod source, you can do that kind of stuff. So yeah, the modulation is very much touch and assign. And there's loads of it. So you've got 5 LFOs and 5 envelopes, but the envelopes can be LFOs and the LFOs can be envelopes, because you can do one-shot envelopes, you can do looping envelopes, you can do looping. It's just, there's a whole mad world of capabilities just in those things alone. There's a patch I'm going to try and dig out where someone has really intelligently programmed the LFOs to act as on-offs for like drum sounds. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
So when it's high, it's a kick. When it's in the middle, it's a snare. And when it's at the bottom, it's a noise. It's very, very clever. Way beyond my skill set, I reckon, or time abilities anyway. But yeah, the workflow is just beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. And it's worth talking about random, actually, before we get too far into it. So this is one of the really, really big things that absolutely drew me to this synth. I am so happy to be led by the machine. Just give me music and let me turn knobs, or just go, yes, 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 that'll do, you know.
Yeah.
Many a night have I spent in my studio making drum kits out of random nonsense that this has made for me. It's really, really good. So random is a theme that carries throughout this synth. So I showed you me randomizing the waveforms.
Yeah.
What I'm doing when I'm double tapping random here is I'm randomizing the whole synth. I'm not picking a random preset. I'm not just saying, oh, get me preset 99, get me preset 66, or something like that. It is randomizing everything on the synth within a musical confine.
That's interesting.
So there is
parameters.
there are
They've thought
parameters.
about this.
There are the odd sound where it's got like an attack phase that lasts 2 hours, and it just doesn't. But you just mash the random again.
Got to commit to these sounds, you know.
So, I mean, look, there you go. That's a good example.
Is that a 2 hour job?
Probably. But you know, that's just good sample fodder.
I'd turn that into like a hat or something.
Or just swim it in fact.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, add loads of reverb and phases. And...
You know, let's do it again.
Oh, wow.
You know, it's just full of...
Part of my new ambient album.
There you go, that's one that's got a weird... So...
Keep going. Cool.
There's going to be...
Oh, yeah. Sort of like Charlie kind of rave pad sort of vibe. It's in that world, the Alpha Juno world. Oh. Oh, wait. No.
It's gone forever. It's gone forever. Got to be quicker, Alex.
No.
Got to be quicker. So that one's got an attack phase
This is a 2 hour attack phase,
yep.
isn't it? What?
Right, let's see what... Oh, hello. Oh.
Oh, wow. Or like if you've got a sampler, that's kind of the dream, isn't it? It's just like a source of never-ending sounds. You could then further sculpt. Like you wouldn't just use this immediate track.
I have
filter
made
it and kind of work with it.
Numerous kits in live with this.
It's like if you're sort of, when you've finished a track and you're like, I need more
something
bits
or
to
just
things, something to
top
happen
line
here.
or something to bed underneath it. This is like an infinite source of.
It just goes, here they are.
Yeah, it's just like,
forever.
Are you bored? Yes.
Are you bored? Yes. Push this button.
So let me find one more. So let's say we really like that sound. In fact, I do really like that sound. One really cool feature of the random is you press it once and then you can choose what's going to get randomized and by how much. So let's say we don't want to randomize the LFO, don't want to randomize the envelope.
Wow.
No. So let's
You
say
can also, you're doing it to like 0, but you could actually do like
little
50%
subtle
randomness of the oscillators.
Well, it
so
randomizes the
bonkers.
arpeggiator as well, so we'll talk about that in a moment. The effects, the what the ribbon does. We haven't even touched on the ribbon yet, and what the voice is doing as well. So let's say that you've got it.
You
set
like
up
what the voice is doing,
and then you just go.
Okay, that is really bonkers. It's sort of almost like a way of, like you're sort of re-rolling the dice, but within parameters that you control.
Well,
that is cool. Like,
so oddly enough, that's how I found the sidechain compressor.
oh, what? Because you're like, this is
Sidechain
sidechain
well, it's just
now.
like mashing the random button. I went, it's like pumping, and I was like, what the? I was like, it's a compressor. I didn't even know it was there. I mean, I knew it was there, but
of course you did.
I had it injected into my brain to use it. But yeah, random is fantastic. That's probably like my big first
really like
tick. Like random is great. It's great for content generation. It's great for just if it's like 11 at night and you just want to zone out and find a weird noise. It's great for that as well.
And you can also just like remind, like you can randomize a block or a component. It's like
totally.
you can really laser in on the randomness.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you've got let's say we've got a preset that we really like. Let's go to this one, and you just want to randomize. Let's say the mutants. Well, randomize the mutants.
So you're changing the balance, and then you hit the button, I guess.
You can, let's say you've got, like I say, a preset that you like. It's totally changed that preset. So
Was that the same sound?
Yeah.
Did play again?
But I've randomised what the mutants are doing.
That's so cool.
So,
you also did a 10% randomisation of the effects. as well.
Little subtle things that you can do with it. So that initial preset, that suppressive one that you've probably heard 1,000 times, is now totally different.
Is it better? No, it's not better. Suppressive is an amazing sound.
It's different.
Also, you can tell by the initials that suppressive is made by one of the inventors of the machines.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Good.
it is a good sound.
Good job, GD.
Yeah. The whole thing is like an amazing job by GD and all the team, like the ASM teams. What is great about digital synths is that kind of sound. Like
you can't get that anywhere else.
You certainly can't get it on an analog synth.
No.
And that's kind of you know, digital is not a mean.
It's not a diss.
It's not a diss. Digital isn't a dirty word anymore. It shouldn't be anyway.
No.
It should be. We've got so many analog synths. Like, we need the other things, and especially if you're into sort of like, I listen to electro a lot. I love that style of music, and that's a perfect style.
It's all DX7, isn't it?
Well, it's like it's a great musical style for illustrating how analog and digital work so well together, because there's so many like icy wavetables, but combined with a really warm, bleepy, like bassy analog
Mogy thing. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, one thing I will say, this with like a little analog monosynth is just nuts.
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
like a studio.
beautiful. Yeah, it
like
really genuinely
kind of is all you need.
Yeah, it really is.
You can make your weird drums with the random button.
I do.
Yeah,
I totally do.
Right.
I totally do. So I'm going to show you a couple of little weird tips and tricks that I've sort of discovered on this thing. So we spoke about random. So I'm going to show you a little trick with the LFOs. As I mentioned, there's a subtle nod to modular in here. That subtle nod, I personally think, is towards the Turing machine. For those that aren't familiar with the Turing machine, it's a looping random sequencer LFO that you can basically say, play music for me.
Make melodies.
Make melodies,
like,
please.
It's like a dice roll, but then it loops. So it's like, and it so often does like amazing stuff.
So you can kind of do that in here. So what I'm going to do is loop LFO3. And what I'm going to do is select the step. So as I mentioned, contextually sensitive, so that knob controls that bit. I'm going to BPM sync it. And I am now going to turn on semi-lock. Semi-lock, yes. I'm going to make it 5 steps. So semi-lock is something they added, I think, about a year ago. So you could do this without semi-lock. It didn't have it on there. But
how many steps are there? In total?
8.
8 steps.
Yeah. 8 steps for this.
You can have less than 8.
You can have less than 8. So we've got 5 at the minute. Yeah. So what I can now do is define the intervals for the musical intervals for this LFO. So if I now send that to there.
Shall I start this?
Yes, that would be grand. So now, as I start to...
Dedicated cut-off knob there.
Thanks, mate.
That's all right. That's what I'm here for.
So the LFOs are polyphonic.
Oh, that's bonkers. Isn't that sort of weird circular melody?
But you can... So as I mentioned, with a little bit of persistence, you can actually
keep going with this. See if we can. What can we do? Add a bit of reverb.
Reverb, mate.
I mean, that's a standard thing I would always want to do. Add a great deal of reverb.
If we speed her up a little bit, 1 sec.
Oh, sorry.
But what you can do as well is let's take LFO 4, do the same again, and make this one 6 steps, semi-lock it. And what we'll do with this one is we will send LFO 4 to oscillator 3. And then we'll bring that into the mix.
Oh, wow.
And what we'll do...
So you're sequencing oscillators individually.
So now we send that to there.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
And LFO 4. BPM sync that at a different rate. Edit those steps. With some persistence.
Yeah, because you have to like dial in the melody just right.
There's gold in them.
Keep going, because you're almost about to do like a Steve Reich sort of Philip Glass like moment.
So the little trick is, look at the intervals you used for this one. So 2, 3, 5, 8.
Trying to use similar intervals.
Yeah, so let's go to those ones. So there's gold in the Nihils, Alex. I swear. 3 and then.
Just the envelope. I almost want the envelopes to loop now. Can you make it so the envelopes can loop every step?
So
because you're holding the note down, you want them to be like do 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 do.
So envelope loop,
up
infinite.
to infinite envelope,
and then what you can do,
almost into simply having a Wonderful Christmas Time territory.
So you can now.
So now the envelope is looping and it's
BPM synced. So the ADSRR BPM synced. I'm going to show you that sidechain compressor that I found by mistake. So if you turn the sidechain on,
amazing.
instant pump. Now the cool thing with the sidechain compressor in particular, and the thing that I do, is it's currently BPM ducking. You can do tap tempo, but you can also send your kick drum boy straight into there. So we
that
could
actually activates the sidechain.
It does indeed.
Oh, wow.
So we could take a feed from that. I take one from my drum machine, copy that out into the mixer, send it in there, and it's always. So I'm in a live set and I'm like, right, I need some big housey pads. It's like, what? It's right there, because it's always going into that input. So no matter what I do, whenever I go there, sidechain to that, straight there.
Bonkers.
So the reason I want to show you the looping LFOs and that sort of like pseudo sequencing trick is because one of the initial criticisms when this came out was it don't got a sequencer.
That's
and
yes, but it kind of does.
If you're ingenuic and you persist just a little tiny bit, there's 5 of them and you can send them anywhere. So we were sequencing pitch, but you could quite as easily sequence any kind of manner of thing.
There's also one thing I would interject with, that there's also key like scale quantization. So that even if you don't play the keyboard well,
like us,
like me, I'm not going to speak for you, but definitely me. It quantizes to scale, so it's easier to play.
This was another one of those subtle nods that I definitely went, oh yeah, I know someone who knows their stuff has been in this, because I'm a big fan of like the key step, and it's just got make Steve Rush please. That's the button. It's like do that, and it's just you can just hammer it with reckless abandon, and techno comes out.
Yeah,
this is kind of the same vibe. So you've got in this voice menu here, you've got
key lock,
loads of scales, mate, and like microtonal,
tuning.
Custom scales as well. Oh, don't get into these, man. They are challenging.
We could be here for a while.
challenging.
Do you want to hear my challenging drone project?
I really do. Do you want to hear mine? It was made with one of these.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean the scale thing's great. So you got scale editor in here as well, so you can it's gnarly. It's super gracious. Gnarly.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I've got into that a little bit. And you can really sort of like Aphex twin it up, and you sort of like get the wonky head bang. You're like, oh, it's not quite straight and not quite in tune. That is great. But yeah, that voice tuning feature is pucker. So I actually, for my sins, use an external sequencer for my personal module. So I'm not taking, I'm not getting the benefits of the polyphonic aftertouch, which we haven't even touched on yet. We should touch on that in a moment.
Nicely done there.
Segued. So I just basically mash my sequencer with,
and then it
And then it
quantizes
just
to
goes,
kick.
oh, look, it's music. And it works beautifully.
It passes that out to MIDI as well, doesn't it?
It does, yes. It totally does.
It does.
It totally does.
really
Yeah.
good.
There's
you
the
can
reason
use it as a
I
controller.
hesitated is because on the module it's slightly different. You can quantize the keyboard separate to what's coming through it as well. You can do little things like that. It's really clever.
Okay,
so on the module you've got the little polyphonic Aftertouch pad boys, which you can do some amazing stuff with. But you can quantize that separately to the MIDI that's coming in and going out. And do some really clever stuff with that. So if you want to get really funky, you can use this as a MIDI quantizer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
Nice.
is dead handy. Like super dead handy.
For those who are not dead handy.
Yeah, for those that don't do keys and things, it's super useful. So yeah, good mention.
What's this? You were about to talk about
Yeah, I was just about to jump onto this thing. So the ARP is another sort of big green tick nod fist bump because it's just encrusted with goodness. So I've initialized the sound. Let me just make sure I've still got tempo sync. I do. That's fantastic. So if I turn that on and latch that on, fantastic. Oh, we've got music.
Sometimes I feel like I put my hands up in the air. Oh, wow.
Anyway, before we get lost in
We
that,
just go into like a 5-hour drone project.
because we just will. So the sequencer's got all your usual stuff: up, down, up, down.
You call
down,
it a sequencer. You're
arpeggiator.
No, it's fine.
It's
But I think an arpeggiator well wielded can be like a sequencer. That
this one
certainly
totally
true.
can.
Yeah.
This one totally can. So if I turn it off for a sec, get that level back up. So you've got like all the sort of like standard things that you'd expect.
Down,
here.
up, down.
Yep, down, up, down, order, random, which I...
Oh, yeah.
I love that kind of stuff. Again, this could be like the thing you're looking for in your track. But one thing it does have is this chord thing. All right, so... Chord, yes. So, chord.
Oh. I'm not sure what's happening, but it sounds cool. Oh, that plus reverb, please. I do believe this is Steve Reich's latest tune. Without the 4/4 kick drum, I don't think he would do that. Just a lot of marimbas and sort of like other percussive. Can be arranged.
Where's my sidechain compressor?
Nice. I like that a lot.
But another little mode that it's got
We're about to get very carried away.
Before we get super
I
carried
think
away.
we have just got carried away. I think that's officially what's just happened. Okay, sorry. Please do continue.
So you got the chord sequencer, which is really cool, and this one called Phrase.
Oh,
So
become a Lego
Phrase,
Welch tune.
I'm down with that.
You wouldn't have this though. You'd just be like
synthesizer.
instant synthesizers. We do have synthesizers multiple here.
So if we put that back on up and play something further up. So phrase mode is sort of like preset kind of phrases.
Okay, let's turn off the reverb a little bit. Turn it down a little bit. So phrases, it's like what? It's like melodies. It's like patterns.
It's like patterns of chords.
Okay.
So, yeah, but because you can modulate anything with anything, you can modulate the phrases. So if I go back to that screen, just show you it. So
it's like a like a wavetable of patterns, as it were.
That's probably a good way to explain it. But it also makes use of all the extra functionality that's in the ARP. So it will now go up.
Oh yeah.
3 octaves.
Change the octaves. Yeah.
Yeah, you can change the lengths. If you want to get really wonky, make it 7.
Oh yeah.
So what I'm going to do is actually modulate that phrase. So it will start picking different phrases for me. So if we take LFO4, tempo sync it, and then in the mod matrix, look how easy it is to assign something. Mod matrix, what do you want to use? I want to use LFO4. I want to modulate the arpeggiator. I want to modulate
by this amount. Oh wow.
Let's go for the phrase.
And so the phrase is being modulated by an LFO. That's so weird.
So now let's say I want to use LFO4 again to modulate the ARP, and I want to modulate the octave.
Bonkers.
So there's like a lot of, again, with a little,
stuff like that you have to fine tune it.
Yeah,
but
you
the
might
point
find
is, it's a means of discovery. Like you can find cool things you wouldn't have thought of, and be recording it, and then loop the good bit. Getting well bonkers. I think that's amazing.
It's super,
I really genuinely didn't know about that, and it's like a phrase discovery.
Yeah, it's great. And you've had it there for ages.
I know.
You know.
I think the problem is I saw Arpeggiator, and I think there are a lot of things in this that are kind of. I was about to say they were buried, but I think that's really unfair because it's actually really quite very well laid out. And
you just got to dig in.
Yeah,
that's the thing. You know. I mean, slightly less obvious things is like there's 2 filters, even though it's right obviously there, and there's obviously 2 in parallel. Yeah, you don't gravitate towards it straight away. So it's one of those things that you have to discover that, the state variable filter has all this lovely different textural qualities to that one. And, half of the stuff I've discovered with this synth was reading the manual like a real saddo on the train all the time. RTFM.
Yeah.
But also, just mucking about a random and just finding
why is it doing
that? And then just tracking it and then going to the mod matrix and going, if you do a double random there, it's like, what is it doing there? So we need to turn up all the boys. So, you can do things, mod matrix, double tap, and it's like, oh, what's that doing now? You know, it introduces a load of stuff that you would never usually find on your own. What's the word? On your own, really. You know, you have got the machine sort of leading.
So it's a machine that you can both go to, or it will suggest things.
Yeah. It really will. I mean, we haven't spoke about the filters. The filters do are really worth talking about. So I'll just initialize the sound quickly, just to show you. There's bloody loads of them.
And they added more, didn't they?
Yep. So
what are the things based on? Are you allowed to say that?
I think I probably can, can't I? I mean, 12 dB ladder filter, 24 dB ladder filter, a 12 dB ladder filter with resonance compensation, so you don't lose the low end when you crack the low end. 24 dB version of that. Low pass gate, which is like an emulation of like a kind of. So you need to pluck that boy.
Yeah. And does it, like, if you do just send it a pluck, does it? Oh.
What you done? So that's a very, if you pick a slightly, and then give it some FM.
Oh.
It's like a bow.
Yeah, it's like a sort of mellow,
it's
mellow
like
curve that you would get off a low pass gate.
Absolutely. So, you know, if you're familiar with like Buchla sort of sound, that sort of Buchla surge kind of sound is all kind of low pass gates.
And with resonance.
With resonance, yeah.
That's a very non-Buchla thing, isn't it?
It is a very non-Buchla
thing. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. No, it's fine.
Low pass gate.
It does that. You might notice this page up and down button. So you've got the contextually sensitive menu. Any page that has multiple, any view that has multiple pages has this up and down. So you just hit that and you can get into different things. So one thing to know before we carry on with the filters, this is loaded with drive opportunities. There are so many opportunities to drive this. You can drive the filter. You can drive the amp. You're going to blow your ears up in a sec. Wait a sec. And then you've got distortion on the pre-effects, distortion there as well. So there's like so many opportunities. Look, what's that waveform?
yeah, squaring it off.
Yeah. And you can really make those super harmonic waveforms even more super harmonic just by squaring off the tops. It's really cool. But to finish on the filters, so if I just give that a quick initialize, so we're back to not blowing everyone's ears out. So two filters.
That's quite a horrible sound I was making. I apologise.
That's quite all right. I liked it. That's great. Thanks. So filter one again. So low pass gate that we touched on. MS-20 low pass.
Not sure what that's based on.
Oh, no idea. Couldn't honestly put my finger on that one.
Poly 6.
Oh, yeah, exactly. High pass MS-20. God knows. And then
3 LER.
I can't remember what this is. It's some sort of weird boutiquey synth, if I remember off the top of my head.
3 LER.
We should know this.
I know, I'm quite a nerd, but I don't. 3 LER.
Requires Googling.
Yeah, maybe.
And then you've got a bandpass 3 LER, which we don't know what that is. And then Steiner models, which were new in an update, which are absolutely...
Can we hear those? I've not actually heard them.
Super good. So, yeah, I mean, it's a Steiner. It needs hella resonance. And
let me just make one like massive pad sound. I like that the release times very quickly go up to like 40 or 50 seconds.
It knows that you want to go.
I generally prefer a 50-second release time. Excuse me.
Where's the reverb, man?
Well, you know, I like.
is definitely the best one.
The cloudiest of all. It's like
It's great, isn't it?
It has got. I think a key phrase is it's got soul. Like, I suppose character is another term, another way of putting that, but there is absolutely
there is absolutely a vibe with every single one of those filters, and you might know better than I do. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they were modelled using an AI algorithm. If I'm correct,
and that's all the limit of my understanding. I remember asking some of the engineers about this. They're like, "Yes, it's AI that we use." And I'm like,
so it's you'll notice for like digital filters, they're not particularly steppy or any sort of
like
weirdness.
Though it may look steppy because you've got visual indicators. That I think it's a thing that can't be communicated very easily in a video, but these are really solid.
I mean, I'd pick it up by that.
Yeah, you
I
can really
would
from those, and they don't wobble, and they're also there's a kind of a good knob has like heft.
Yeah,
and those have got the heft. So
they certainly have.
You have that feeling that you can make very fine moves, and they will be respected.
Yeah,
they will actually be interpolated.
Yeah.
It's just it feels very nice
to
mess with, despite it being encoders, which I think can often be a bit of a. It can be sink or swim for a synth. Sometimes.
Yeah, totally can
really
be.
can.
I mean, there's been many a synth that I've tried and I've gone.
There are a few examples of encoder shames that have been applied in the past, but I think they get like the need.
Again, that's another little fist bump. It's obviously from someone that's spent a lot of time making these and just gone, I know how to
we won't make the mistakes.
I know how to do that.
You can use this tech, but use it in a good way. Yeah.
We have the technology to make non-wobbly knobs nowadays. I think that's quite impressive. So filters, loads of them. They're bloody marvellous and they sound great.
Cool.
But I mean, we haven't really touched on the polyphonic aftertouch or the ribbon. We should probably do that soon.
Well, do you want to find well, maybe you can sort of wrap things up and we'll find some sounds that really...
Yeah.
You play me your best Vangelis.
I mean, we'll do our favourite preset. Our favourite preset is this one.
Oh yeah. Excuse me.
Play the octave up.
Oh. What are we doing?
There you go. I couldn't reach that far. Does this have a... Of course it does.
There is a ribbon here.
Yeah. So if I go ribbon quickly, let's put it in theremin mode.
So, explain very quickly the polyphonic aftertouch.
So,
and let's just play it. Like,
I'll just play
find a sound that's like that's lovely.
Gets its own channel of velocity and aftertouch. So one very, very famous synth that had that was the Yamaha CS80.
Yeah.
Very expressive performance synthesizer. I think there's some subtle design cues there with the old ribbon boy.
And the dual layer.
And the dual, particularly in this one.
The most... Also, I remember we were saying before we were filming, it's like, this actually got more keys than a...
Yeah.
I mean, the CS80, don't get me wrong,
and
it's like had hammer action. Like
it don't weigh the same as a car.
No, that's true. You could pick this up by yourself. You should never pick up a CS80 by yourself. It would be one of the last
Unless you
things.
want to turn your back into dust. My spine became chalk.
Yeah. So that is amazing. Have we got any other sounds? What are your favourite sort of big, glorious paddy type things?
Really good FM sounds that I'm really going to struggle to find because now I'm under pressure.
Ooh. Oh yeah, I like this one. I can't play the keyboard.
Why we need the voice boy on?
That's a really nice sound though. Hang on. So what? Just play again. So it's like this is a split, isn't it?
Yes. So we should probably talk about the models real quick. The one we're playing with here is the Deluxe. So Deluxe by name, Deluxe by nature.
2 engines.
Yeah. So
How many voices per engine?
8 voices per engine. So the Explorer that you see here, the little baby boy, the desktop and the original keyboard were all 8 voices.
Yeah.
This is 16 voices. You can address each engine individually, together, or as a single.
It's very nice. It's changed its color when you know you're editing lower and upper.
Yeah. So when you're in multi and you're editing lower, you get blue.
It's blue.
When you're in upper, it's
You know
yellow.
who's played just wonderful.
And if you do them together, it goes back to the old school orange that we recognise. So you can edit each of the layers independently on the Deluxe, and as we mentioned earlier, they've got individual outs as well. So you can have Hydrasynth A going over there to your rack of eventides and stuff and whatevers, and then that one going through a horrible dirty guitar pedal if you wanted to.
Amazing.
Particularly good, if you're good enough at keys to play a weird bass part and a lead part. I can't do it, but yeah, like in terms of a performance, but also just making these crazy. Like the cool thing is you can edit the arpeggiators independently as well. So you've got a lower arp and an upper arp. So, and then if you start combining that with the sequencing things that we were talking about, the phrase modulation and the arpeggiation there, you can build up, again, with a little sliver of persistence, you can build up some pretty gnarly sounds with it. So yeah, this is dual engine, so 16 voices. All the others are 8 voices. And the only thing different between them is just the kind of the
amount
layout.
of keys and the
And this has got a space to keep your drum machine and or George Foreman.
so that you may never leave your keyboard layer.
Exactly.
You simply make meals.
Yeah.
Let the fat drip in.
Particularly good for a laptop.
Yes,
so when I initially
that's
got
true.
this just lived on my desk for a couple of days with a laptop on it. It's
And it's like, this is your master keyboard.
Yeah.
And the heart of your studio makes sound, and it's an amazing control because it's polyphonic aftertouch. You're also getting a polyphonic aftertouch keyboard,
yeah,
which is like by itself
like worth
very
the
hard
money.
to find
Yeah.
elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's really good. Cool.
I think that's everything.
I mean, there's a lot to this synth. But
Yeah.
I think you've done a great job of letting us understand the vibe, the joy.
There's a lot of Wavetable synths on the market. I personally feel that this has a lot of subtle nuance to it that nothing really has, and it's just worth
A
showing off.
workflow.
Big thing for me, just in case anyone's wondering, you can define the color of the OLED for your
Thank
presets,
goodness.
because that really annoyed me that they kept coming up in red. I wanted purple, goddammit.
Oh, wow.
And you can make it purple.
Princey vibe.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about these? Can you make these purple?
No,
Oh,
just this.
I'm not interested all of a sudden.
You can't modulate it.
That is a real failing. Why is that not a modulation test?
I have asked.
Well, I can always work that into the next update.
I mean, I'm sure you could with a soldering iron and some warranty voiding shenanigans.
Look after your beautiful keyboard.
It's so nice.
Keep it safe.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, thanks so much. Yes, that's it. If you have any more questions, or if you have questions, leave them a comment. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time.